All right, let's cut across to Union Minister Piyush Goyal now, who's speaking in the Indian Parliament.
समझौते का संपन्न करने के उद्देश्य से नियमित रूप से चर्चा करते रहे हैं। इसी को ध्यान में रखते हुए दोनों पक्षों के वार्ताकारों ने पिछले एक वर्ष में विभिन्न स्तरों पर गहन बातचीत की है। दोनों पक्षों के महत्वपूर्ण और विविध हितों को देखते हुए यह स्वाभाविक है कि दोनों पक्ष अपनी अपनी अर्थव्यवस्थाओं के महत्वपूर्ण और संवेदनशील क्षेत्रों की रक्षा करते हुए सर्वोत्तम संभव परिणाम सुनिश्चित करना चाहेंगे। इन वार्ताओं के दौरान भारतीय पक्ष अपने संवेदनशील क्षेत्रों, विशेषकर कृषि और दुग्ध क्षेत्रों के हितों की रक्षा सुनिश्चित करने में सफल रहा है। अमेरिकी पक्ष के भी कुछ ऐसे क्षेत्र थे जो उनके दृष्टिकोण से संवेदनशील थे। लगभग एक वर्ष तक चले कई दौर के विचार विमर्श के बाद दोनों वार्ताकार दल द्विपक्षीय व्यापार समझौते के कई क्षेत्रों को अंतिम रूप देने में सफल रहे। 2 फरवरी 2026 को प्रधानमंत्री मोदी जी और अमेरिकी राष्ट्रपति डोनाल्ड ट्रंप ने द्विपक्षीय और अंतर्राष्ट्रीय महत्व के कई मुद्दों पर फोन पर चर्चा की। इसके बाद राष्ट्रपति ट्रंप ने अमेरिका को किए जाने वाले भारतीय निर्यात की दर घटाकर 18% करने की घोषणा की। मैं इस बात पर जोर देना चाहता हूं कि यह अमेरिका द्वारा कई प्रतिस्पर्धी देशों पर लगाए गए टैरिफ से कम है, जिससे अमेरिकी बाजार में भारत की निर्यात प्रतिस्पर्धात्मकता में वृद्धि होगी। यह समझौता भारतीय निर्यातकों को विशेष रूप से श्रम प्रधान क्षेत्रों और विनिर्माण महत्वपूर्ण तुलनात्मक लाभ भी प्रदान करता है। मैं इस सम्मानित सदन के समक्ष यह दोहराना चाहता हूं कि खाद्य और कृषि क्षेत्र में भारत की प्रमुख संवेदनशीलता को पूर्णतः ध्यान रखा गया है। साथ ही यह साझेदारी लघु एवं मध्यम उद्यमों, MSMEs, उद्यमियों, कुशल श्रमिकों और उद्योग के लिए नए अवसर खोलेगी। उन्नत प्रौद्योगिकियों तक पहुंच को सुगम बनाएगी और भारत के मेक इन इंडिया फॉर द वर्ल्ड, डिजाइन इन इंडिया फॉर द वर्ल्ड और इनोवेट इन इंडिया फॉर द वर्ल्ड के दृष्टिकोण को साकार करने में सहायक होगी। यह ऐतिहासिक ढांचागत समझौता भारत अमेरिका संबंधों को मजबूत करने और विकसित भारत 2047 की दिशा में हमारी यात्रा को आगे बढ़ाने की दिशा में एक महत्वपूर्ण कदम है और यह दुनिया के 2 सबसे बड़े लोकतांत्रिक देशों के बीच मजबूत जुड़ाव को भी दर्शाता है, जो स्वाभाविक साझेदार हैं और साझा समृद्धि के लिए मिलकर काम कर रहे हैं। मैं माननीय सदस्यों को सूचित करना चाहता हूं कि आगे की कार्रवाई के संदर्भ में दोनों पक्ष व्यापार समझौते से संबंधित आवश्यक तकनीकी प्रक्रियाओं को पूरा करने और कागजी कार्रवाई को अंतिम रूप देने के लिए मिलकर काम करेंगे ताकि इसकी पूरी क्षमता का शीघ्रता से लाभ उठाया जा सके। समझौते की विस्तृत रूपरेखा इन प्रक्रियाओं के समापन के पश्चात तुरंत घोषित की जाएगी। माननीय सदस्यों को भारत के ऊर्जा स्रोतों से संबंधित उन मुद्दों की जानकारी होगी जो इस समझौते पर हुई चर्चाओं के दौरान उठाए गए हैं। मैं स्पष्ट करना चाहता हूं, जैसा कि सरकार ने कई बार सार्वजनिक रूप से कहा है कि 140 करोड़ भारतीयों की ऊर्जा आवश्यकताओं की सुरक्षा सुनिश्चित करना सरकार की सर्वोच्च प्राथमिकता है। वस्तुनिष्ठ बाजार स्थितियों और बदलते अंतरराष्ट्रीय परिदृश्यों के अनुरूप ऊर्जा स्रोतों में विविधता लाना हमारी इस कार्यनीति का मूल आधार है। भारत की सभी कार्यवाहियां इसी बात को ध्यान में रखकर की जाती हैं। अतः मैं माननीय सदस्यों से इन मुद्दों को समुचित दृष्टिकोण से देखने का आग्रह करता हूं। दोनों देशों के बीच भावी व्यापार अवसरों के संदर्भ में माननीय सदस्यगण इस बात को समझ लेंगे कि भारत और अमेरिका काफी हद तक एक दूसरे की पूरक अर्थव्यवस्थाएं हैं। जैसे जैसे भारत विकसित भारत के पथ पर अग्रसर हो रहा है, हमें ऊर्जा, विमानन, डेटा केंद्र, परमाणु ऊर्जा आदि सहित कई क्षेत्रों में अपनी क्षमताओं को बढ़ाने की आवश्यकता होगी। अमेरिका इन क्षेत्रों में दुनिया का अग्रणी देश है, इसलिए हमारे लिए इन क्षेत्रों में व्यापार की संभावनाओं पर ध्यान केंद्रित करना स्वाभाविक है, जिससे न केवल हमारी खरीद में बल्कि हमारे अपने निर्यात में भी विस्तार होगा। अतः हमारा अनुमान है कि तुलनात्मक लाभ के परिणाम स्वरूप कई क्षेत्रों में भारत का निर्यात अमेरिका में भी काफी बढ़ेगा। विश्व की सबसे बड़ी अर्थव्यवस्था के साथ यह ढांचागत समझौता, जो आने वाले वर्षों में वैश्विक विकास और नवाचार को गति प्रदान करेगा, भारत की जनता एवं राष्ट्र के व्यापक हित में है। यह विकसित भारत और आत्मनिर्भर भारत दोनों को सशक्त बनाता है। हम अपने देश के लिए माननीय प्रधानमंत्री जी के इस दृष्टिकोण को साकार करने में की दिशा में निरंतर कार्य करते रहेंगे। धन्यवाद महोदय।
All right, that was Union Commerce and Industry Minister Piyush Goyal, who was speaking in the upper house of the Indian Parliament, which is also known as Rajya Sabha. And while emphasizing on the India-US trade deal, he was speaking about a lot of things. He said that the sensitive sectors, the sensitive, in fact, sectors like agriculture and dairy have been protected. Welfare of the farmers is a top priority of the Indian government. He also said that, that these discussions over this trade deal were happening for over a year. He also said that on 2nd of February, Prime Minister Narendra Modi and US President Donald Trump had a telephonic conversation. After that conversation, the tariffs imposed on India by the United States were reduced to 18%. This tariff, which is 18%, is less than many other countries on which the tariffs have been imposed by the United States. He also said that the MSMEs and skilled laborers will get more opportunities as part of this trade deal. He also said that Make in India designed in India and made for the world is something that which will be promoted as part of this deal. Also, this deal will further strengthen ties between India and the United States. Also, he was saying that energy security is something which is very, very important, and energy security for the entire countrymen is a top priority of the Indian government. He was saying that as the nation is very fast moving towards its vision of Viksit Bharat 2047, the year when Bharat will be celebrating the centenary of its independence, energy security, nuclear power is very, very crucial, and the government is leaving no stone unturned to make sure that the work in these domains are happening on continuous basis. This was the Union Commerce Minister Piyush Goyal said in the upper house of the Indian Parliament. And earlier, Union Commerce Minister Piyush Goyal also made a statement in the lower house of Indian Parliament or the Lok Sabha on the India-US tariff reduction announcement. He assured the Parliament that India has successfully safeguarded its sensitive sectors.
अपने संवेदनशील क्षेत्रों, विशेषकर कृषि और दुग्ध क्षेत्रों के हितों की रक्षा सुनिश्चित करने में सफल रहा है। अमेरिकी पक्ष के भी कुछ ऐसे क्षेत्र थे जो उनके दृष्टिकोण से संवेदनशील थे। लगभग एक वर्ष तक चले कई दौर के विचार विमर्श के बाद दोनों वार्ताकार दल द्विपक्षीय व्यापार समझौते के कई क्षेत्रों को अंतिम रूप देने में सफल रहे।
Piyush Goyal said that India and the United States are highly complementary economies. The minister also assured that the centre will diversify energy resources and also safeguard the energy for the public.
मैं स्पष्ट करना चाहता हूं, जैसा कि सरकार ने कई बार सार्वजनिक रूप से कहा है कि 140 करोड़ भारतीयों की ऊर्जा आवश्यकताओं की सुरक्षा सुनिश्चित करना सरकार की सर्वोत्तम प्राथमिकता है। वस्तुनिष्ठ बाजार स्थितियों और बदलते अंतर्राष्ट्रीय परिदृश्यों के अनुरूप ऊर्जा स्रोतों में विविधता लाना हमारी इस कार्यनीति का मूल आधार है। भारत की सभी कार्रवाइयां इसी बात को ध्यान में रखकर की जाती हैं। अतः मैं माननीय सदस्यों से इन मुद्दों को समुचित दृष्टिकोण से देखने का आग्रह करता हूं।
External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar met US Secretary of State Marco Rubio on the sidelines of the Critical Minerals Ministerial meeting. The External Affairs Minister expressed his happiness at meeting Rubio. There was a wide-ranging conversation that covered bilateral cooperation agenda, regional and global issues, facets of India-US strategic partnership. Discussed, in fact, included trade, energy, nuclear, defense, critical minerals and technology. Both leaders agreed on the early meetings of various mechanisms to advance our shared interests. Dr. Jaishankar is in the United States to take part in the Critical Minerals Ministerial meeting, which will focus on supply chain resilience, clean energy transitions and strategic cooperation in critical minerals. India's External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar met US Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent in Washington, D.C. today. Both the leaders held a useful discussion on advancement of India-US economic partnership and strategic cooperation. All right, and Mr. Sachin Kumar Sharma, who's DG Research and Informatics System for Developing Countries, joins us on the broadcast. Sir, a very warm welcome to DD India News Hour. Okay, so India just concluded a mother of all trade deals with the European Union that we all know. It's historic. Another historic thing is the reduction of tariffs in India to 18% now by the United States. How do you see this, first of all? Let's talk about this first.
First of all, Siddharth, thank you for inviting me. 2-3 points. Even our Commerce Minister has said that this deal is historical. And yes, this is true that it is historical.
Right.
You just see that 2-3 days back, when an exporter wanted to export a product or a textile company wanted to export to the US, they have to pay 50% tariff. Now it reduced from 50 to 18%. Before 2 days before, we have the comparative disadvantage because our tariffs are much more, even more than the China were facing the US.
Yeah, right.
Even in the Bangladesh facing. So now our tariff has reduced from 50 to 18%. So we move from comparative disadvantage position to comparative advantage. This is one of the historical thing.
Okay.
Second point, which I can say that what is the most major pointer, it is the trust and predictability.
Right.
See, in the international trade, the main enemy in the international trade is always the uncertainty. Now, this is the first step towards the certainty. Now, for last 1 year, there was negotiation going on.
Yeah, several rounds of them. Yeah.
Several rounds. Some say that okay, that negotiation will be concluded in 1 month, 2 months, and negotiation keep going because there are a lot of sensitivity from the both sides. And that's why both countries took time. And now with this certainty, now you have seen that yesterday, once the deal was done, then portfolio investment start coming. There are the positive all sector across, whether it's the labor-intensive sector, gems and jewelry, or textile, or even the pharma, and many other sectors have welcomed this deal. And one thing is that when two partners, they do a deal, there are a lot of sensitivity. The main thing for the political leader is that they come together and minimize these sensitivity or frictions so that we can move together. Because what our minister also said that both economies are complementary to each other.
Definitely, you are absolutely right. And just a while back, he was also speaking in the upper house of the Indian Parliament, which is Rajya Sabha, and he was saying that it will be a big push for many things. You know, he mentioned MSMEs. He also mentioned skilled laborers. He also mentioned the promotion of Make in India, Design in India, and Make for the World. How do you react to that? He just spoke a while back. Just a while back.
Yes, it's true that I give the full perspective of this thing. You have shown the two clips. One is the statement by our minister, and second, the foreign minister who are in the US. I see in the both perspective. First, in Made in India, yes, the one thing is that what we got is the market access in the US at less. Now we need to pay less tariff. The second thing is extremely important is the supply chain.
Right.
And there in the supply chain, if you India wanted to be a developed country, what we require? You require technology, you require critical minerals, you require semiconductors.
Energy security.
And energy security and even green transition.
Right.
So where the technology will come, where the critical minerals will come.
Yeah.
So here, India, if you see that over the period of time, they have done different FTAs. They also diversifying
energy basket.
Chain.
Yeah.
Supply chain, not depend on one country, but because we have seen in the past how dependence on one country, especially in China, interdependence being weaponized, and our manufacturing sector paid a very heavy price.
You're right.
So I see the two things complementary, where our commerce minister has said in Rajya Sabha, and second, our foreign minister trip to the US, where they are securing this supply chain resilience.
Yeah.
And they are working together on this. And even if you see the budget this time, in the budget also there are substantial amount being invested in the semiconductor, in the critical mineral or high technology area. And one last point, I will say that before the budget there was an economic survey. It also said that we need to become the Atmanirbhar. Atmanirbhar doesn't mean the import substitution, it means outward. That we need to develop our priority area so that other countries should not blackmail us in case of the crisis, and then we will become also competitive. And there I see that both India and the US agreement play extremely important role, and this is a strategic partnership.
You are absolutely right. You just mentioned semiconductor as well. India is pretty much focusing on semiconductors. In fact, in the Union Budget announced on 1st of February, Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman has said that she announced the launch of India Semiconductor Mission 2.0, which certainly goes on to show that how India is focusing on this sector and wants to build a proper semiconductor ecosystem at a time when India is very fast moving towards its vision of Viksit Bharat 2047. In fact, just a while back when Union Commerce Minister Piyush Goyal was speaking in the Rajya Sabha, he also mentioned that this is very necessary, and in order to make India a Viksit Bharat, nuclear power is very much required, nuclear energy and energy security is also very, very important, and India is pretty much focusing when it comes to the energy needs of the entire countrymen, and which is a priority for the government. Your reaction on this?
Yes, totally. I totally agree, because what happened is in this critical mineral resilience, supply chain diversification, both you can say India and the US have facing the same situation. Because over dependence on the one country is the problematic, and that's why in the last month, 1.5 months, when the US invited India for PEX Silica, that's the one thing they invited. Now, even this critical ministerial event which is happening in the US, it is also an extremely important thing. Given the fact that government recognized the importance of the critical mineral, semiconductor, and investment in higher technology, so there this collaboration is extremely important. We can't be, you can say that self-sufficient in all kind of technology at the moment. We need to collaborate with other. We need to enhance our capacity, whether through the imported inputs, and that's why in the budget, in many critical inputs, the government has reduced the custom duty. So this is extremely important, and government has building the ecosystem. Now, I will take one more minute. I will just wanted to say that now that Ministry of Commerce and our Prime Minister has done the negotiation. We have the trade deals with the different countries. We have the opportunity outside to export. But internally, we also need to enhance the capacity. And in enhance the capacity, if you see the government vision for the last 10, 11 years, the government has spent more than 50,000 lakh crore rupees in infrastructure. And this is how they are making this whole ecosystem. So we have the opportunity, we are investing in the infrastructure, and this will lead to us towards Viksit Bharat 2047 vision.
All right, we leave it there. Thank you so much, sir, for giving your precious time to DD India. Thank you so much once again. The sacred Devni Mori relics of Lord Buddha arrived in Colombo today aboard a special C-130J aircraft of the Indian Air Force, marking their first ever international exposition. The holy relics The holy relics were accompanied by a high-level Indian delegation headed by Gujarat Governor Acharya Devvrat and Deputy Chief Minister Harsh Sanghvi, and were formally received by Sri Lanka's Minister of Buddhasasana Sunil Senavi and Minister of Public Administration Professor Abhay Rathana. The arrival coincided with Sri Lanka's National Day, giving the occasion special spiritual and cultural significance. The relics will be enshrined at Colombo's revered Gangaramaya temple until February 10, where thousands of devotees are expected to gather for public veneration. The exposition was announced by Prime Minister Narendra Modi during his visit to Sri Lanka in April 2025 as part of India's commitment to share its Buddhist heritage with the world and reaffirm its role as a responsible custodian of global Buddhist heritage. And my colleague Ahmed Muin Farooqi, in fact, is expected to join us in a while, but as of now, Pakistan has been shaken by a wave of continuous attacks carried out by the Balochistan Liberation Army. As tensions escalate, Pakistan's defense leader has admitted the situation is highly serious. For the past several days, Pakistan has witnessed intense violence with attacks reported on hospitals, markets, jails, police stations and security installations. During the ongoing 50-hour-long Operation Haraf Phase 2, the BLA reportedly destroyed multiple Pakistan Army barracks in the province. Pakistan's defense minister has described the situation as extremely alarming, highlighting the severity of the crisis. As per sources, Pakistan's security forces have killed over 200 Baloch army personnel in southwestern Balochistan province. A vast sunflower field in Kerala's Bison Valley has emerged as a new tourist attraction, offering visitors a rare floral landscape amid the misty hills of Idukki.
Sunflowers stretch as far as the eye can see across this region, drawing tourists to Kerala's Bison Valley for a site usually associated with neighboring states. Nestled at the foothills of the misty Idukki high ranges, this 40-acre sunflower field has been developed by a local farmer and tourism entrepreneur. Surrounded by cardamom plantations, the field blends into the quiet of the hills, offering a striking contrast of color and calm. The site is just a kilometer from Bison Valley town. A dedicated children's park and well-maintained greenery have helped turn the area into a complete family destination.
The main reason behind developing this is tourism. Also, there wasn't any sunflower garden here. People had to go to Tamil Nadu to see one. We also have a small children's park. Last year, everyone suggested that if we develop something for children, families can spend time here. Sitting beneath the bamboo groves feel like being in an air-conditioned space.
Beyond the sunflower fields, an acre of land is dedicated to tall bamboo varieties, which form natural canopies, offering cool, shaded spots for visitors to rest. To ensure visitors find flowers in bloom throughout the year, sunflowers are cultivated in two phases, allowing one field to blossom as another fades.
And still to come on the Indian Newshour. Thousands march in Caracas demanding release of Maduro after US military capture. 14 migrants killed after boat collides with Greek Coast Guard in Aegean Sea.
Geopolitics and trade deals. Economic challenges amid development. Hard work and the path to prosperity. It's the economy, always. Between walkers, money is what money does and says. Supply creates its own demand. Between the bulls pulls and bears tears. When supply chains globalization and India rises to the podium. We'll get you centered with the Economic Brief at 8 p.m. every Thursday on DD India.
You're watching DD India Newshour. I'm Siddharth Bhardwaj, and let's have a look at the headlines this hour. India-US ties get a strong impetus after renewed push in talks between both nations as Washington's tariff on New Delhi slashed to 18%. On the eve of peace talks, Russia hits Ukraine's battered energy facilities ahead of the tripartite talks in Abu Dhabi today. Trump says talks with Iran still on even after US shoots down an Iranian drone, meeting likely in Oman instead of Turkey. Ukraine accused Russia on Tuesday of violating an agreement with Donald Trump to hold off from striking Ukraine's energy systems in the depths of a freezing winter as its forces carried out large-scale airstrikes on Kiev. In his nightly video address, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky said that Ukraine was waiting for U.S. reaction to Russian strikes that caused further damage to Ukraine's energy infrastructure. While Ukrainian energy minister said that a power plant in Kiev's eastern suburbs had been seriously damaged, prompting officials to redirect resources to restoring heating to thousands of residents.
Ми очікуємо на реакцію Сполучених Штатів Америки на російський удар.
We expect a response from the United States on the Russian strikes. It was America's proposal to stop strikes on energy infrastructure during diplomatic efforts and the cold winter period. This request was made personally by the President of the United States. We see that Russia responded to this request with a record use of ballistic weapons. Not even 4 days have passed from the week that Russia was asked to observe. This also says a lot about everything else Russia promises or may promise. If their word is not kept now, what can be expected later? They lied before this war, and Russia started the full-scale war trying to deceive everyone about its intentions and about Ukraine.
Таких домовленостях з Америкою.
Kremlin said on Monday that the next round of US-brokered trilateral talks between Ukraine and Russia will take place in Abu Dhabi from February 4 and 5th, as talks planned for February 1st had not happened for scheduling reasons. Following the Moscow strikes on Kiev, US President Donald Trump on Tuesday urged Russian President Vladimir Putin to end the nearly 4-year Ukraine conflict. During a briefing in Oval Office, asked if he was disappointed with Putin, Trump said that Putin kept his word with what he said was a halt in strikes from Sunday to Sunday. Meanwhile, NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte on Tuesday inspected a Kiev thermal power plant damaged in Russian strikes. During the visit, Ukrainian Energy Minister showed Rutte the damage inflicted on the thermal power plant. Shimel said that a plant in Donetsky had been used strictly for providing heating for people and was heavily damaged. He also described the problems facing Ukraine's energy system as serious and said repairs would take a considerable time. All right, and DD India's Akshay Dongre joins us live for more. Hi, Akshay, a very good afternoon to you. What are you tracking as far as trilateral talks are concerned this time?
Well, as the negotiators from both the sides have already gathered in Abu Dhabi, what the Ukrainian side already has started to echo as far as their narrative is concerned is that Russia continues to pound the already fragile, ecosystem of energy there in Ukraine, especially in the eastern part of the country. They're saying that there is highly chances that Russia will continue with these kind of tactics to mount sort of a pressure on Ukraine to accept to its demands. However, there is no such acceptance coming in from the Russian side as far as the negotiations are concerned. While to the two sides are already there in Abu Dhabi, the talks are going to take place for 2 days, and the hopes right now are, especially the negotiators are concerned, is that there will once again be a ceasefire as far as the energy sources of Ukraine are concerned. There are sub-zero temperatures in that particular region at this point in time, and the conflict has gone on for over 4 years, so there is also desperation in the negotiators that the war must come to an end to ensure that a peaceful period may start in that part of the country and in that part of the region, especially with the sticking points still remain, which are the long-term fate of the Ukrainian East Ukrainian territory that has become the biggest bone of contention. Now, whether there is going to be a buffer zone, whether there is going to be guarantees that will be given from the West, from the US, as far as any kind of further inroads into Ukraine are concerned is a big question. But at this point in time, what we are seeing is again a logjam, again a sort of a stalemate between the two sides in moving forward with any kind of negotiations, in any kind of progress as far as peace deal is concerned. Several 100,000 people have already died in this bloody war, but there is no clarity as to how either of them is going to take a few steps back as far as giving peace a chance. And as we move toward another second round of peace talks, all hopes are right now that both the sides will be taking certain steps back as far as bringing peace to the region is concerned.
But whatever you're telling, Akshay, to us, and whatever the current situation is, it seems like the territorial concessions is the biggest impediment as far as the solution out of these talks are concerned. Russia wants Ukraine to have territorial concessions. On the other hand, the Ukrainian side is refusing to have territorial concession. It's refusing to give territory at any cost. So tell us more about it, Akshay. What is the actual reason? Is this the only reason, or there are some other reasons related to it?
Well, as far as Russia outlining their main goals of war and as they call it, special operation, include certain points. One of them is stopping human trafficking in Ukraine, is what the Russian government has been asking, especially in the Donbas region, that is the eastern East Ukrainian territory that has Donetsk, that has Luhansk, that has other areas as well, other regions as well. And these regions especially are majority they have a majority of Russian-speaking people there. So Russia has a long state claim on these parts of the Ukrainian territory. They have said that the people of these territory have wanted, or they want to be merged with the Russian territory, with the country of Russia. However, these claims have repeatedly been refused by the Ukrainian government. So at this point in time, besides the 2 points of there is another point, another claim that the Russian side has been making, that they want to denazify that part of the country. So that's another claim that the Russian side makes, that in that part of the region, people are trained to hate Russia. People are trained to there to racist beliefs and other several other reasons why the Ukrainian government is on purpose sort of creating an environment that is hostile to the Russian people, the country of Russia, the Russian Federation. And these are actually the few objectives that have been stated by the Russian side to sort of justify their action and their special military action in that part of the country. But as far as any inroads are concerned into the peace talks, there are little hopes, but then there again are hopes that there will be something that will come out of these talks.
Okay, Akshay, very quickly, can we expect something to come out from these talks this time? Because last time when these talks happened, no solution came out. This time, can we expect something?
Well, no concrete solution came out. You're absolutely right, Siddharth. But there was a talk that there was an idea that was pitched by the negotiators that the region that has been already captured will see a sort of a buffer zone. So the Russian troops will pull back. The Ukrainian army will not be there, and there will be guarantees provided by the Western powers, including the United Kingdom, including France, US, NATO allies, to ensure that if any sort of aggression is made by the Russian side, then there will be a combined action taken against Russian Federation, and the entire might of the NATO will be used against Russia if the Russian side doesn't respect this buffer zone. So this idea was pitched. Let's see what progress is made on this idea. If a buffer zone is created that can provide a certain hope to come out of this conflict.
Yeah, definitely, Akshay. We'll have to certainly wait and see what will come out of these talks this time. But as of now, we leave it there. Thank you so much. The United States is still planning talks with the Iranian officials this week, the White House said Tuesday, even after a U.S. warplane shot down an Iranian drone that approached an American aircraft carrier in the Arabian Sea. The U.S. military said earlier that an F-35C stealth fighter jet shot down the Iranian drone that aggressively drew near to the USS Abraham Lincoln aircraft carrier on Tuesday. Meanwhile, Trump administration has accepted Iran's demands of holding talks this week in Oman instead of Turkey on Friday. As per reports, the scope of discussion would be narrowed to two-way negotiations on nuclear issues, only adding new complications to an already delicate diplomatic effort. Iran's move to change the venue and agenda for the talks scheduled for Friday in Istanbul came amid heightened tensions as the US builds up forces in the West Asia. Meanwhile, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu told US envoy Steve Witkoff during a meeting in Jerusalem on Tuesday that Iran cannot be trusted ahead of a meeting between Washington and Tehran this week. Tears of joy and relief marked the limited reopening of Gaza's Rafah crossing with Egypt as a handful of Palestinians were finally able to return home after months of separation. Crowds gathered late Monday at Nasser Hospital in Khan Yunis to welcome returnees, women weeping and children lifted to bus windows to greet loved ones. But for some of those re-entering Gaza, the return home was bittersweet. Only a fraction of those expected were allowed through. Egyptian officials had anticipated 200 crossings, but just 24 people passed both directions. In fact, in both directions. Gaza's territory's interior ministry said that 12 Palestinians returned while 8 departed. On Egypt's side, 12 people, including 5 injured, were admitted. Ali Shaat, head of Gaza's technocratic committee, called the reopening a window of hope for a territory devastated by 2 years of conflict. Yet humanitarian needs remain dire. Al-Shifa Hospital's director reported 20,000 patients urgently requiring treatment, including 4,500 children. While Rafah's reopening offers a lifeline for the sick and injured, Israel's COGAT has not indicated any plans to allow a surge of aid into Gaza, leaving uncertainty over whether this fragile opening will expand. US President Donald Trump on Tuesday signed a spending bill into law that ended a brief partial government shutdown and gives Congress more time to debate possible limits on his immigration crackdown. The legislation restores funding for defense, healthcare, labor, education, housing and other agencies and temporarily extends funding for the Department of Homeland Security until February 13 after DHS funding lapsed because lawmakers hadn't acted in time. Trump reached the deal last week with Senate Democrats, who are pressing for restrictions on aggressive immigration enforcement following the controversial killing of the 2 U.S. citizens by federal agents in Minneapolis. In response, the administration has begun deploying body cameras on immigration agents in Minnesota, one of Democrats' demands, while other proposals face GOP resistance. The bill cleared the Senate with strong bipartisan support and narrowly passed the House 217 to 214. The previous shutdown lasted a record 43 days and cost the U.S. economy an estimated $11 billion. In Venezuela, thousands of government supporters marched through Caracas on Tuesday, demanding the release of Nicolas Maduro and his wife, Celia Flores, marking 1 month since their capture by United States military forces. Protesters displayed images of Maduro depicted as a superhero character called Super Boycott and held banners reading, "The empire kidnapped them, we want them back." Nicolas Maduro Guerra, in fact a deputy and son of the detained former president, addressed marchers from stage stating that January 3rd will remain marked like a scar on our face forever when our homeland soil was desecrated by a foreign army. Maduro and Flores remain detained in United States federal prison following the military incursion. Fourteen migrants died in the Aegean Sea of Greece on Tuesday after their boat collided with a Coast Guard vessel off the island of Chios. A Coast Guard official said that they spotted a dinghy transporting migrants towards Chios, which lies a few miles off the coast of Turkey, and ordered them to turn back. He added that the smugglers maneuvered toward the Coast Guard vessel, causing a collision. The Coast Guard officers were injured and transferred to hospital, and 24 migrants have been rescued. Witnesses reported that about 30 to 35 people were on board. Search and rescue was underway with Coast Guard vessels, private boats and driver assisting the operation. The man convicted of assassinating former Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe has lodged an appeal. His life sentence on Wednesday Tetsuya Yamagami, who was found guilty 2 weeks ago at the Nara District Court for fatally shooting Abe with a homemade firearm during campaign rally in July 2022, is now seeking to overturn the ruling. The case will proceed to the Osaka High Court, though the timeline for hearing has not been announced. Today is World Cancer Day to raise global awareness about cancer and promote prevention, early detection and treatment. The day focuses on reducing illness and deaths caused by cancer by encouraging collective action and equitable access to care. The theme for 2025-27, United by Unique, highlights that every cancer journey is different, yet people across the world remain united in the fight against cancer. Still to come on DD India News Hour. Federal Reserve Governor Migrant steps down from White House post. Afghanistan are off to a decent start after opting to bat first against India in the ICC Under-19 Cricket World Cup.
Can the US launch a bombing campaign against Iran? The Philippines vessel suffered structural damage. The saga of child sexual abuse is the United States China's debt trap strategy. Truth is stranger than fiction. But sometimes hard to uncover. Trust us to tell the truth, unadulterated and pure, of every story that matters to you. You read between the lines, cut the clutter, and connect the dots to get you the full picture. Watch Connecting the Dots at these times with me, only on DD India.
You're watching DD India News Hour. I'm Siddharth Bharadwaj, and US Federal Reserve Governor Stephen Migrant has stepped down from his role as an economic advisor to the Trump administration, the White House confirmed Tuesday. Migrant's resignation fulfills a pledge he made to the Senate to leave the administration if he continued serving at the central bank. President Donald Trump had tabbed Migrant to complete the unfinished term of Adriana Kugler, a Biden appointee who resigned last year. While serving on the Fed board, Migrant also held the chairmanship of the White House Council of Economic Advisors, though he took an unpaid leave of absence, citing the short-term nature of his Fed appointment. French police raided the Paris offices of the social media platform X amid an ongoing investigation into the platform's AI chatbot, posting Holocaust denier and sexualized images of women and children. DW correspondent Chiponda Chimbelu is following the story from Berlin. Hi Chiponda, what more do we know at this point, Chiponda?
Thanks for having me. Well, French police and Europol, the European Union's agency for law enforcement cooperation, searched the office of X on Tuesday, and they did that in Paris. And that is, of course, according to the Paris prosecutor's office. Now, the social media company formerly known as Twitter is being investigated for several offenses, which include boosting engagement of far-right extremist content. On top of that, French prosecutors have also filed requests for voluntary interviews of X's founder Elon Musk and its former CEO Linda Yaccarino, and that would take place on April 20 if the two individuals agree to appear before investigators. Now, X has responded and condemned the raid, which it said was a politicized investigation. And the company also said that it categorically denies any wrongdoing.
Chiponda, what specific offenses are French authorities examining?
The Paris prosecutor's office has listed the allegations it is looking into, and 3 of them are linked to the possession of images of minors that are pornographic. and the distribution of such images. Then there's also defamation of a person's image by creating deep fakes of a sexual nature. And it is also looking into posts linked to Holocaust denial, which is illegal in France, much like many other European countries. And then there's also 3 other allegations on top of those. Now, the possible crimes linked to the creation of sexualized images would be connected to the chatbot Grok on X, and it has a so-called spicy mold, which was released last year, and that produced tens of thousands of images, including sexualized images of people and children. And that is what triggered an international outcry. Now, in the aftermath, we have seen several countries opening investigations to see if laws were violated, and France is one of them. And there is also another investigation at the EU level. Brussels has also announced its own investigation into X, and it did that last week.
So looking ahead, does the EU have the tools to take on X and Elon Musk if these violations are confirmed?
Well, for its investigation, the EU is using one of its toughest tech laws, the Digital Services Act. And this could be a precedent when it comes to the bloc confronting US tech firms. Now, countless people here in Europe have been affected by Grok's spicy mold, and they include the Swedish Deputy Prime Minister Ebba Busch, who posted a video on the platform X about being involuntarily undressed by Grok. Now, if the EU finds that X did indeed violate its Digital Services Act, the DSA, it could fine the platform up to 6% of its global annual turnover. And if the platform continues to violate the EU's digital rules, it could be entirely blocked within the European Union. Now, Brussels does have a lot of leverage. The EU is one of the world's largest markets, so it can exercise significant influence over global tech firms. But there are still some doubts about how far the EU is willing to go, also given the ongoing rift in relations between Brussels and Washington. That too could potentially factor into how far the EU does go with this investigation or any potential fines.
All right, Chiponda Chimelu, we leave it there. Thank you so much. Global markets were mixed on Wednesday as investors digested recent rallies and cautious trading ahead of key economic data. Major U.S. indices ended lower on Tuesday, with S&P 500 down about 0.84% at 6,917. The Dow Jones losing 0.34% to 49,241, and the Nasdaq sliding 1.43% to 23,255, pressured by tech stock weakness. In Asia, markets opened unevenly. Japan's Nikkei fell 0.62%. South Korea Composite Stock Price Index, KOSPI, surges around 1.5%, and the Shanghai Composite rises 0.84%, while India's Nifty 50 and Sensex open on flat note. Meanwhile, in commodities segment, gold and silver prices climbed up to 6% amid geopolitical worries driving demand. You're watching DD India News. Time now for some sports news. And Osman Sadat and Khalid Ahmadzai gave Afghanistan a good start in their ongoing ICC Under-19 World Cup 2026 semi-final against India. The pair steadied the ship for Afghanistan after they lost the wicket of opener Khalid Ahmadzai. India's Deepesh Devendran and Kanishk Chauhan have taken the 1 wicket each. Kanishk broke the partnership of Khalid and Osman, dismissing the latter for 39. Earlier in the day, Afghanistan captain Mehboob Khan won the toss and chose to bat first. Team India is fielding an unchanged playing 11 from their previous outing against Pakistan. New Zealand head coach Rob Walter has provided a crucial injury update on their veteran all-rounder Michael Bracewell ahead of ICC T20 Men's World Cup starting on Saturday. Walter said Bracewell is making good progress and could recover in time for the start of the World Cup. Bracewell suffered a calf injury during the third and final ODI against India, which the visitors won 2-1. If Bracewell recovers in time, the all-rounder will have a chance to prove his match fitness in New Zealand's warm-up fixture against the USA in Mumbai on 5th of February, ahead of their tournament opener against Afghanistan in Chennai on February 8th. British tennis star Jack Draper is preparing to return from a long-term injury absence this week in Britain's Davis Cup qualifier against Norway in Oslo. Draper has not played since withdrawing from the US Open last August following his first round match with an arm injury. Draper enjoyed the best year of his career in 2025 before the injury, climbing to 4th in the world rankings and winning the Indian Wells title. He returns on Thursday against a Norway side which may include three-time Grand Slam runner-up Casper Ruud. And Amsterdam's museum is preparing to open a Metamorphosis, a major exhibition exploring the 2,000 years influence of the epic on art. The show brings together 80 works from 50 museums and collections, tracing its impact on the artists from Titan to Migrant across centuries. That's all for this edition of DD India News Hour, but let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. For those on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on DD India mobile app. The app is available on both Android and iOS platforms, and you can scan the QR code on the screen to download now. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I am Siddharth Bharadwaj from all of us here in Delhi. Thanks for watching DD India News Hour.